Reality Transurfing, Book 3, Forward to the Past, by Vadim Zeland. Chapter 3, Coordination. Section, Apples Fall to the Sky. Apples fall to the sky. As it was said in the Holy Scripture, according to your faith it will be done to you. And that is really true. You will always get only what you are ready to have. External intention carries out your order impeccably. You have what you have in accordance with the template of your world view and your conception about your place in this world. Now you are familiar with all the main principles of transurfing, so you can rule your fate according to your own choice. Your fate will be shaped in line with your personal choice and faith. You already know how to choose. It remains only to answer the question how to believe in all of this. I have already mentioned that you won't be able to convince your mind until he is put before facts. Your mind can pretend. He can also believe blindly and fanatically, but it is a false faith based on an extremely strong excess potential. It is when you attribute excessive significance to the conviction itself. The mind is so deafened by his fanaticism that he doesn't see or hear anything else. Not only did he drive the soul into a box, but he drove himself in there. That is why such faith is blind. The sail of false faith will never be filled with the wind of external intention. Let me repeat that. The sail of false faith will never be filled with the wind of external intention. False faith is a trap set by a pendulum in the labyrinth of insecurity. It could seem to you that you got out of the maze, but in reality it is only an illusion. Deep down in your soul you will doubt, unsuspecting, because you have partitioned off doubt with the protective wall of faith. How to tell false faith from true faith? True faith, it is no longer faith, it's knowledge. If you have to convince and persuade yourself, no matter how, with enthusiasm or with force, that means it is false faith. Knowledge is not shaped by persuasion, but by facts. When your mind has been put before a fact, you just know. False faith is maintained by your mind's control. The mind, being in an illusory room of the labyrinth, keeps watch, so that not a single doubt sneaks into that room. If the mind wants to hope, he doesn't want to hear anything else. Never persuade yourself, and never try to believe. Never persuade yourself and never try to believe. Otherwise, you are at risk of obtaining false faith that only seems to be genuine. Illusion will be unveiled once you start listening to the rustling of the morning stars. Let go of the mind's control and instead direct it at perceiving the smallest signs of emotional discomfort of your soul. If you have discovered discomfort, do not try to convince or persuade yourself anymore. Once you'll achieve the unity of your soul and mind, you won't need to persuade yourself. Let me repeat that. Once you'll achieve the unity of your soul and mind, you won't need to persuade yourself. Tiring yourself out with affirmations is pointless. The shadow of doubt will disappear because you are telling yourself over and over, I will get my way. On the contrary, it will get a breeding ground to develop further. The soul won't believe it. The soul won't believe if you are trying to persuade it. The soul does not understand logic, nor does she understand the language of the mind. In addition, she doesn't allow for semitones. If you were to ask your soul, will I attain my goal? She will either reply yes or no, but never maybe or most likely. With the slightest shadow of doubt, the answer will be no. So, if the soul is in doubt, convincing or persuading her is impossible. What is there left to do? The answer lies in the above-mentioned statement. The soul doesn't accept semitones. Doubt is when you believe to some extent, but not quite all the way. The soul will turn this not quite into quite not. She doesn't believe and she doesn't doubt. She just knows that it will happen, yes or no. Thus, you need to make one cardinal step. Throw the word believe out of your template and replace it with the word know. If the mind just knows that this and that will happen, then the soul will agree with him. No persuasion is necessary. You believe that you are holding this book in your hands, right? No, there isn't even talk about that. You just know you do, and that is all. But where there is faith, there will always be room for doubt. Now, having dropped the concept of faith, allow yourself to know that your wish will come true. You know this because such is the law. The goal will be obtained if there is the determination to have. And you will be able to realize the determination to act when moving through your door. The choice is yours to make. You are the master. Hence, if you made the choice yourself, any reasoning on the subject and what if it won't work are simply irrelevant. Let's assume that events could develop in two ways. It will work out or it will not work out. Trying to persuade yourself that it will work is futile. But now there is knowledge. You are choosing your alternative yourself. Knowledge is that foundation upon which one could build confidence. There is only one little thing left to do to get this knowledge. To do that, you would need to get used to this knowledge, accept it. With time, people get used to all kinds of incredible things, like the phone, television, airplanes. Haven't there been quite a few totally incredible things? Apply the method of slides. You must shelter the knowledge in your head and nurture it until external intention makes it a fact. But your task is not to persuade yourself, it is rather to remind yourself from time to time that you know the goal will be obtained. When thinking about your goal, you'll catch yourself doubting, involuntarily and out of habit, once again thinking about means of achieving your goal. But there will be doubts, of course, but you should catch them and put them in place right away. I know that success depends on my choice. I have made the choice. So what hesitations can there be? Gradually, they will go away. There, where there is no faith but only knowledge, doubts cannot exist. Just don't try very hard to get rid of your doubts or even try to fight their presence. At the end of the day, you could calm yourself with the notion that doubt does not yet guarantee failure. Only then there will be bumps on your way. I'd like to point out once again, the main thing is that you remember. You are the one to decide whether you should reach your goal or not, and hence you've got nothing to worry about. Every time, the moment you start doubting, remind yourself of this. I again direct your attention to the bad habit, forgetting and existing in a half-conscious state. New knowledge is easily forgotten, while old habits die hard. Always remember you are the master of your fate. Let me repeat that. Always remember you are the master of your fate. I do not think that Christ felt particular delight when walking on water. To him it was just as natural as walking on the ground is to you. People too could walk on water if they would be able to drop all doubts, worries, and any emotions they have in this regard. Incredible? But the entire history of mankind is a constant chain of surprises caused by the most incredible things. For example, iron ships cannot sail on the water, never mind fly. As soon as people saw that you could sail on water on iron ships and fly in the air on heavy planes, no one is discussing the possibility that it can't actually happen anymore. By dragging doubts along, you are greatly diminishing your chances for success. There are two life tracks in the space of variations. On one, the goal has been reached. On the other, you have suffered failure. When you are wallowing in your doubts, you are radiating energy on the frequency of the failure track. In that case, one can hardly hope for success. Failure will be determined by circumstances that appeared as a result of the radiation of your thoughts. Let me repeat that. Failure will be determined by circumstances that appeared as a result of the radiation of your thoughts. You have to ask the question differently. Not, will it work out or not, but what do I choose, success or failure? It is hard getting used to this statement. You go through your entire life seeing that apples fall to the ground and do not fly up to the sky. However, if you will catch yourself when in doubt and reminding yourself at once that success is only a matter of your choice, you will get used to that. Imagine that from now on, for some reason, apples started falling to the sky. It will be very surprising at first, but eventually you will accept it and get used to it. What can you do? Such is the quality of apples. After all, you do not get surprised about air balloons soaring up into the skies. And now wake up and try to become aware of what I just tried to convince you of. Doesn't it seem to you that I am leading you around a labyrinth in search for faith? If you have believed, then you fell into a trap. Do not be offended, dear reader. I just wanted to demonstrate how the mind is wandering about in this hopeless maze. Your wandering began with the words, "Thus you need to make one cardinal step." Further on followed attempts to replace faith with knowledge that has not yet been obtained. However, the essence of faith does not change because of that. This is exactly what pendulums do in their attempts to win your faith. You do not have to worry. Transurfing is not a trap for your mind, and everything I wrote in this book is not a product of speculative exercises. And even this little wandering of ours ceases to be a trap if you do not view the above as a call to believe, but as instead a hope to obtain freedom. Pendulums are the only ones to need someone else's faith. But to transurfing, your faith is useless. After all, I am not trying to convince you. Rather, I am pursuing an entirely different goal, to destroy the stereotypes of the usual worldview in order to break free from the box of conditionality and to wake up in the dream you are dreaming awake. Let me repeat that. I am not trying to convince you. Rather, I am pursuing an entirely different goal, to destroy the stereotypes of the usual worldview in order to break free from the box of conditionality and to wake up in the dream you are dreaming awake. Having woken up, you will realize that you are capable of controlling your dream. You do not need to believe to do that. Act, then you will see what will happen. Do not believe. Try instead. When you have seen that transurfing is really working, that is when you will know. You've probably heard the following claim a number of times. If one were to have a firm belief in one's powers, in victory, then one could achieve anything. Easy to say. Easy to say, according to your faith will it be done to you. But where do you get this faith? How to get rid of doubts? Yeah, there is no way you can get rid of them. The desire to achieve faith is a wasted labor. If a shadow of a doubt has been in your soul, you won't be able to chase it away with any convictions. You can only fool your mind. He will pretend that he doesn't remember the doubts, but they will still be residing in your soul. Leave the fruitless attempts to obtain absolute faith. There is another, more real way. To not think about the means of achieving the goal, but to play the slide of your goal in your head and to move your feet in the direction of the goal. Let me repeat that. Leave the fruitless attempts to obtain absolute faith. There is another, more real way. To not think about the means of achieving your goal, but instead to play the slide of your goal in your head and move your feet in the direction of the goal. These are not empty dreams, but specific work in tuning your radiation. After all, your worst fears get realized, don't they? Then do some concrete work. Consciously and purposefully retune your radiation onto the realization of your best hopes. Let me repeat that. After all, since your fears get realized, why not instead consciously and purposefully retune your radiation onto the realization of your best hopes? If you have a goal, but you also have doubts. Will it work out or not? Then your doubts will interfere. But you won't be able to get rid of these doubts, and you don't need to. Your mind needs faith as to validate the fact that the goal is impossible to reach. Leave faith aside and do not think about the means. Instead, live in your slide and get used to the slide where the goal has already been reached. Let me repeat that. Leave faith aside and do not think about the means. Instead, live in your slide and get used to the slide where the goal has already been reached. That is concrete work without conviction. Let yourself have this pleasure. Then external intention will do its thing, and apples will fall to the sky by themselves. Apples fall to the sky when the mind is put before a fact. Then he releases his control and simply lets the facts occur. It doesn't matter that the situation is not clear to him. The important thing is that it is real. We are living in a world where people are riding bicycles. If a person would have found himself in a world where everyone is flying, he would start flying as well. I have already mentioned that by setting your radiation onto a life track of your goal, you launch a mechanism of external intention. You are playing the slide of your goal in your mind and you are visualizing the process. Meanwhile, the wind of external intention is slowly and gradually moving the frigate of your world's material realization into the space of variations. Opportunities start coming up about which you had no idea. What is more, external intention starts directing its actions as to bring you closer to your goal. Notice the following. Sometimes it will seem that the circumstances are developing rather strangely. But how can you know what exact roads lead to your goal? You wouldn't be teaching a head chef in a restaurant how to prepare a meal now, would you? Always remember that your mind is not capable of calculating all the moves in advance, and he does not know how your goal can be realized. After all, it doesn't work using the ordinary methods, does it? Then why are you once again trying to crawl into the Procrustean bed of common stereotypes? Leave caring about the means and ways of achieving the goal to external intention. Trust the flow of variations. Even in spite of yourself, you will be acting in a way that will bring you to your goal. This is how external intention works. If you are now walking in mud and rain and cold to a job you hate, but with a sense of celebration in your soul, then soon all these inconveniences will disappear. You'll see where yourself. Your parameters will simply stop satisfying this entire environment. Even now, I am not trying to convince you, but rather to instill you with hope. There is no way out of the labyrinth of faith, but there's got to be hope that the walls of the labyrinth will collapse, when external intention will demonstrate to you how apples fall to the sky. Without this hope, it is impossible to practice transurfing, and you wouldn't have pursued it anyway. Having gained hope, your mind will get a foothold, and the soul will come to life again. Having encountered a vexing misfortune or difficult problem, people give their energy to a pendulum and feel anxious, exhausted, and depressed because of it. Man is either ready to fight or he is losing heart. Both conditions are abnormal and lead to stress and depression. There is no calm, the support is lost, and the inner core of confidence is broken. To find support, people look for salvation in cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, and other methods. But as a result, they become entirely dependent on new pendulums. It is important to realize that in any problem situation, a pendulum demands that you either do your best and fight or lose heart and yield to dejection. You cannot do the former or the latter, but there is no support. The core of confidence is lost. What to do? You will find support in realizing that you understand how a pendulum is trying to submit you to its will and draw out your energy. One might wonder how simple knowledge could help and encourage you. It can do that very well. Hope. It is also about knowing that everything is not lost and that there is a way out. Understanding the mechanism behind the problem situation weighs as much as hope does. You are no longer a string puppet or a paper boat. You can now understand what is going on, and you can cautiously smirk to yourself and say, "No, pendulum, I won't give you my energy. I know perfectly well what you need and how you are trying to hook onto me. It won't work. You won't be able to impose the importance of the problem on me. I have the right to choose, and I choose to be free from you. Be off, pendulum!" Sorry, I threw that part in myself. In life, everyone makes lots of mistakes, which one later is bound to regret. You may think that you have already gone too far from your former goal. All is not lost. Transurfing will help you to even out the situation. Even if your former goal is objectively closed, you could find a new one. There not only is one goal that is yours, so whatever your age, there is a chance, and you have to use it. There is not only one goal that is yours, so whatever your age, there is a chance, and you have to use it. Mistakes that you have made are your capital. If you assume this position, then brilliant success awaits. Everyone who has achieved success has gone through a whole forest of failures. There is some reason why there is the saying, ad astra per aspera. All prominent figures that have achieved success have to go through all kinds of difficulties. It is just that this side of their life is not particularly highlighted. So if you have made a big mistake and suffered failure, be happy. You are on the way to success. If, however, you will start self-reproaching, whining and complaining about your life, failures will keep coming up again and again, all the unnecessary. From your point of view, experiences will definitely be of use to you on the life track of your goal. Apathy goes away when new hope emerges. Animals or people wandering already exhausted in the desert forget about their weariness if they see an oasis in the distance. Picture a fly that is beating against a window glass while there is an open window pane nearby. All its life it's been drummed into the fly's head that if you see a goal, you need to fly right at it. The fly sees the goal and is beating against the glass, but nothing comes of it. The same happens to you when you do not understand how to reach your goal, when you are deprived of choice and forced to be content with what you have. But now, when you know that the window pane actually exists, it is close even if you cannot see it. Hope springs in you, and when there is hope, the energy of intention is released. Hope is needed in order for you to start acting. Start acting, and you will see that apples will fall to the sky. When hope has done its part, you will become aware of the freedom of choice. That is when you will tell yourself, "I do not want, and I do not hope. I intend." Let me repeat that. Hope is needed in order for you to start acting. Start acting, and you will see that apples will fall to the sky. When hope has done its part, you will become aware of the freedom of choice. That is when you will tell yourself, "I do not want, and I do not hope. I intend." End segment. Reality Transurfing. Book 3. Forward to the Past by Vadim Zeland. Chapter 3. Summary. Self-confidence is the same timidity, only turned inside out. The walls of the labyrinth of insecurity will collapse once you reject importance. If I do not have importance, I have nothing to defend and nothing to conquer. Do not fight your reaction to a provocation. Change your attitude. You need to lose with indifference and not set ultimatums for yourself. Treat any information consciously. You have a freedom of choice. All you need is the determination to have. Do not earn money, but the determination to have. Focus on the goal as if it has already been achieved. Your choice is an immutable law. You yourself are shaping your reality. How not to fear? Find a safety net, an alternative, another way around. How not to worry and not get anxious? Act. How not to desire? Accept a defeat and act. How not to expect? Act. How to increase one's significance? Reject your fighting for it. How not to get irritated? Play with the pendulum, breaking the rules of its game. How to get rid of the feelings of guilt? Stop justifying yourself. How to handle indignation? Stop the battle and move with the flow. If you cannot handle indignation in any way, allow yourself this weakness. A life track forks into a positive and negative branch. By expressing your attitude towards an event at a crossroad, you are making your choice. If you intend to view every change in the script that appears to be negative as positive, then you will end up on a favorable branch. If you intend to view every change in the script that appears to be negative as positive, then you will end up on the favorable branch. Get a stupid habit of rejoicing at failures. Redirect your control from struggling with the flow of variations onto going with the flow of variations. Do not think about the means of achieving your goals. Instead, keep playing the slide of your goal in your head and keep moving your feet in the direction of the goal. Live in your slide where the goal has already been achieved. And finally, then external intention will do its thing and apples will fall to the sky by themselves. End chapter 3.